Good day, class. No, we're now on the second lesson, no, in our topic about microbial metabolism. No, so dito sa lesson na to, we will be discussing one of the two, no, key players sa microbial metabolism, and that is your enzyme. For this specific lesson, we'll just be discussing yung first part, no, nung discussion on enzymes. For the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe, no, the characteristics of enzymes. And in terms of the outline, titignan lang natin yung basic characteristics ng enzymes. So, let's begin. First, ano ba yung enzymes and ano yung function niya? No, enzymes are actually macromolecules. No, usually, proteins. No, most of your enzymes are proteins. Although there are some macromolecules like some RNA molecules that we call ribozymes that can function as enzymes. No, although, no, dito sa lesson natin, we'll just be specifically discussing yung enzymes that are proteins. No, and in terms of function, enzymes act as a catalyst. No, ano ba yung catalyst? When we say catalyst, no, catalysts are substances that can speed up, pinapabilis niya yung isang chemical reaction without, no, being permanently altered themselves. So, ibig sabihin, no, yung isang catalyst, present siya sa reactants, and eventually, no, pag na-produce na yung products, present pa rin siya dun sa product. So, it just speeds up the chemical reaction without being consumed, no, by the reaction. Ayan. So, without enzymes, no, ano ba yung picture ng metabolism ng cell natin? Now, without actually enzymes, ang mangyayari is magkakaroon ng congestion in terms of yung chemical reactions. Kasi yung chemical reactions without enzymes will take such a long time to occur. No? So, magkaka-traffic, no, congested traffic dun sa metabolic pathway. No, for example, no, just to give you an illustration, yung sucrose or yung table sugar is actually the substrate, no, of yung enzyme sucrase. No, and itong sucrase, it actually catalyzes or speeds up yung pag-breakdown or hydrolysis ng sucrose to glucose and fructose. Now, without an enzyme, without sucrase, yung sucrose in water or yung sucrose solution natin can actually sit for years, no, without an appreciable hydrolysis happening. So, ganun siya. Pwede siyang nasa room temperature, no, tapos yung sugar solution, tapos hindi pa rin nabe-breakdown yung sucrose to glucose and fructose. No, ganun kabagal, no, yung reaction. No, but if you add a small amount of yung enzyme sucrase, no, yung sucrose will eventually be hydrolyzed, no, within seconds. No, so ganun ka-important yung function ng enzymes. Kasi kung walang enzymes yung metabolism natin, magkakaroon talaga ng congestion dahil magiging sobrang bagal ng process. So, paano ginagawa ng enzymes yung pag-catalyze or pag-speed up ng chemical reactions? They do it through lowering what we call the activation energy. So, what is the activation energy? No, as an introduction, no, I want us to see, no, yung chemical reactions happening doon sa cell natin as yung chemical reactions actually they involve, no, what we call bond breaking, so pagbe-break ng bonds, and bond forming. No, for example, dito sa hydrolysis ng sucrose, para ma-break down yung sucrose, no, kailangan actually natin sa hydrolysis ng sucrose ay i-break, no, yung bond between glucose and fructose. And kailangan din natin i-break, no, yung bond between a bond, no, between water, no, isang bond sa water molecule. So, in that case, no, after ma-break yung dalawang bonds na yun, kailangan naman natin mag-form ng bagong new bonds. One is yung bond between glucose and yung hydroxyl group ng water, and we have your fructose and yung H nung natinanggal natin doon sa water. So essentially, a chemical reaction involves both breaking of bonds and forming of new bonds. Now, saan papasok doon yung activation energy? Now, yung activation energy, kung titignan natin tong figure na to, actually refers doon sa energy na kailangan para ma-break yung bonds ng reactants, no, in a chemical reaction. Now, important to kasi pag hindi ma-break, hindi ma-overcome yung energy needed to break the bonds, hindi ma-form yung new bonds. No? So, yung energy na kailangan para ma-break yung bonds na yon, we call it activation energy. And yun yung kailangan i-overcome ng isang chemical reaction para mag-proceed dun sa formation ng products. Normally, no, sa isang chemical reaction, yung activation energy can be is often supplied by heat or in the form of thermal energy, no, na na-absorb ng reactant dun sa surroundings. So normally through heat in the form of thermal energy. So by heating, for example, a substance, actually nag-increase yung rate ng reaction. No, kasi nga nare-reach ng reactant yung energy needed to break its bonds. However, no, yung heat or heating, yung um, using heat to speed up a chemical reaction, hindi siya mag-work well, no, sa biological systems. Bakit? No, for one, yung high temperature can actually denature proteins. Sabi natin, di ba, yung protein sensitive sila to heat. No, so high temperature can lead to protein denaturation and kill yung cells natin. No, second, no, yung pag-heat up, pag-introduce ng heat, no, sa chemical reaction can speed up all reactions and hindi lang yung needed nung cell natin. So by using an enzyme, no, a cell can actually reduce, no, yung risk of protein denaturation and at the same time be specific, no, kung saan lang kailangan ng cell na ma-speed up yung chemical reaction. So hindi lahat ng chemical reaction magsi-speed up. So paano yung ginagawa ng enzymes? Enzymes, sabi natin, lower activation energy. So yung enzymes, ginagawa niya, binababaan na yung activation energy. So imagine, so itong black dito sa figure natin is yung course ng reaction without an enzyme. So mataas yung activation energy na needed. If you have an enzyme, yung enzyme, it lowers the activation energy needed. Which means na yung reactant molecules natin can actually absorb enough energy, no, even at moderate temperatures. Hindi na kailangan ng heat para makaproceed dun sa reaction. So yun, essentially yung ginagawa ng isang enzyme. So it catalyzes chemical reactions by lowering, no, the activation energy. So now, no, another characteristic ng enzyme is that it has a unique active site, no, that binds one or more substrate. So kung makikita ninyo itong figure na to, this is an example of an enzyme. And an enzyme acts on a specific substrate or substrates. Pag sinabi nating substrate is actually a reactant, no, in which an enzyme acts. So for example, itong enzyme sucrase, ang substrate niya ay yung sucrose, no, and yung enzyme na to actually speeds up yung hydrolysis ng sucrose to glucose and fructose. So it is important to take note na yung reaction na sinispeed up or kinakatalyze ng isang enzyme ay very specific. No, in fact, no, yung isang enzyme kaya niya i-recognize yung specific niyang substrate, even among closely related compounds. So for example, itong sucrase. No, yung sucrase will only act on sucrose and hindi siya magbabind no, to other disaccharides such as your maltose. And also, it is important to take note na dun sa enzyme molecule natin, portion lang nung or region lang ng enzyme yung actually nagbabind no, dun sa substrate. So, hindi yung buong enzyme molecule yung nagbabind. Yung region kung saan um, nagbabind no, yung substrate, we call it an active site. Yan. So, dito nangyayari yung catalysis or yung pag-speed up ng chemical reaction dun sa active site. No? So, anong function ng rest ng protein molecule? Sir, kung ang active site lang ang nagbabind dun sa substrate. Well, yung other parts ng protein molecule actually helps no, in providing a framework or structure na nagde-determine ng shape ng active site. Actually, yung pagiging specific kasi ng isang enzyme ay attributed dun sa complementary fit ng shape ng substrate and ng active site. So, without the other protein molecules providing a structure, hindi ma-maintain yung shape ng active site, which is necessary for a substrate to bind specifically to that enzyme. Yan. So, another characteristic ng enzyme is its components. No, although some enzymes composed sila entirely of proteins, no, most enzymes are actually composed of both a protein portion no, that we call an apoenzyme and a non-protein portion that we call a cofactor. So most of your enzymes are composed of an apoenzyme, the protein portion, and a cofactor. So which forms together yung cofactor and apoenzyme produces your holoenzyme, which is a whole active enzyme. So it is also important to take note na yung apoenzyme are inactive by themselves. So, ibig sabihin, on its own, inactive siya. And kailangan siya ma-activate ng cofactors natin. Kapag yung cofactor ni-remove, yung apoenzyme will not function. Kasi both the cofactor and the apoenzyme helps dun sa pag-fit ng substrate dun sa buong enzyme natin. So, in terms of yung cofactors can be in the form of metal ions. So, yung ions, for example, such as your iron, zinc, magnesium, or calcium, can be your cofactors. On the other hand, no, bukod sa metal ions, pwede rin yung organic molecules. Pero pagka yung cofactor ay organic molecule, ang tawag na natin sa kanya ay coenzyme. No? So, sa metabolic pathways, yung NAD plus natin, yung NAD plus, FAD, coenzyme A, are actually coenzymes. So, they are organic molecules that help activate your apoenzyme. Also, no, karamihan sa mga coenzymes are derived from vitamins, no, such as your vitamin B1, vitamin B2, folic acid, vitamin E, etc. No, kaya important yung vitamins sa nutrition kasi they act as coenzymes. No, or they can be raw materials kung saan ginagawa yung coenzyme natin. Yan. So, we're now done no, with the characteristics of enzymes. So, sabi natin, no, enzymes are usually proteins and in terms of function, they speed up chemical reaction. No, so, they act as catalysts. And they do it by lowering the activation energy or the energy needed no, to break the bonds in your reactants. And we also said na yung enzymes, meron silang unique active sites no, that bind one or more substrate. So when we say substrate, ito yung substance kung saan nag-act yung enzyme, and yung active site, yun naman yung region kung saan nagbabind yung substrate. Napag-usapan din natin that most enzymes are actually composed of a protein portion called an apoenzyme and a non-protein portion that we call a cofactor. So, pwedeng yung cofactor ay metal ion or pwede ring organic molecule. But, when the cofactor is an organic molecule, we actually call it a coenzyme. So, here are our references for our lesson today. Here are the photo credits. With that, thank you very much and see you on our next lesson.